It's been about 3 months since my last update to the Crew Motorfest Grand Race meta, and we've had lots of new car additions to the game, so finally, I got my shit together and made my list. But not only did I make the list, but I also changed the format of it so that it's more clearly defined and informs you guys a little bit better. Let's go. All right, before I get into it, if you appreciate the videos that I make and you want to support the channel, the next time you buy something from Ubisoft, you can enter my creator code MGC at checkout. I'd appreciate it so much. All right, up first, the new format. I used to give you a few options in the best, contenders, and the viable categories. However, I think it makes more sense to give you the overall best car and then a couple of cars that are meta, but only in specific situations. Now, because most people don't really want to drive the same few cars every race, I've also got a list of viable cars in this video. Those viable cars are not capable of beating the best cars if the driver's skill levels are equal, but they can hold their own and they'll allow you to mix it up a little bit from race to race. So starting with Street 1, the best car in Street 1 is clearly the Porsche 911 RS 2.7. It is great in basically all scenarios, including top speed. It allows you to hold an incredible pace while solo, as well as in a slipstream. A few cars can compete, but ultimately the best bet is the 911. There is a special case where one car is just about equal to it though, and that's the Stratos HF in technical situations and gutters. It has great mid gearbox acceleration and it gets completely sucked into the gutters, and it's very stable when cornering. Additionally, it accelerates better than most cars from a dead stop. Outside of that though, I do have this list. Notice the E30 BMW. That also includes the special edition of that E30. Both of them are super viable. Actually, more so than basically the rest of the cars, with maybe the exception of the RS2 Avant. But none of those cars are as well-rounded as the top car in this class. Let's move on to Street 2. The best car in this class is the Porsche 911 993. Again, it is good in all scenarios, but it does have one crack in its armor: guttering. And enter the special use F40. The F40 is actually a better choice for routes that require a lot from the handling and guttering departments. It's my favorite guttering car in the game, and I usually default to it even if I didn't see the route before the race. That can backfire a bit though if we end up on a highway section, because it does struggle with top speed, and the 993 does not. Another car that doesn't struggle with top speed and is another special use scenario car is the Hurricane. In fact, the car is faster than the 993 on highway sections, and it handles pretty good. Where it struggles is acceleration. It takes a good bit of NOS or slipstream to get this car to top speed, making it not a very good solo car. Outside of that, Street 2 is completely muddy. There are so many cars that are truly viable in that class, but this is the list of my favorite 10 for various reasons. All right, let's move on to a couple of the easy ones: Drift, Motocross, Monster, and Plane. Now I'm grouping these together because they are dominated by a single vehicle and the rest are just not even close. In Drift, you probably know it, it's the Unicorn. In Motocross, all the bikes kind of feel the same, but in testing, the Yamaha YZ450F is head and shoulders above the rest, and the same goes for Monster. It's the Silverado. Again, they kind of feel similar, but in testing, the Silverado blows everything else out of the water. And finally, for planes, this one is just not even close at all. The P51 Mustang is crazy fast compared to everything else. You will get gapped if you attempt to use another plane. All right, moving on to the racing category. The top car is absolutely the Gordon Murray T50S. Once again, it's good in all scenarios, and it's very, very easy to drive, making it the best car for literally everyone. The one knock on it though is that it tends to hop a little bit in rough gutters. Not every gutter, most gutters it's fine, but every once in a while it jumps and pops you out of the gutter. And that's something that you just don't have to worry about with the Camaro SS. It's certainly the closest of any car in the class to the T50, but it's slower with its acceleration. And for long highway sections, the Gallardo Super Trofeo is just nutty. It can definitely be the difference between winning and losing when on a highway route. Outside of those, these cars can definitely be used, but again, if you go up against a good driver in a meta car, you're gonna lose, so just keep that in mind if you pick one of the viables. Let's move on to Hypercar. The fastest car in Hypercar is the Agera R. I know some of you out there are thinking that you do better with car X. But I have to break some tough news to you. The Agera R is the highest skill ceiling car in the game. It's by far the fastest car in basically all scenarios when the driver can actually drive it. If you find yourself struggling to do well with the Agera R, you might have some room to grow. Now, the T50 is an excellent alternative and it's much easier to use. I recommend using that if you find the Agera too difficult. And in addition to that, the 110 is very solid in most scenarios, but it does understeer slightly, and that's where the Agera just absolutely dusts it. The 110 is the best choice for basically all off-road scenarios though, and its NOS power is crazy good in all gears. It holds a tremendous amount of the Escape world records because of that off-road ability. But outside of those, here's the list of viable options, and to be honest, Hyper is just like Street 2. There's a bunch of hypercars that can be used, but these are my favorites. All right, moving on to Alpha GP. The truth is, pretty much all of the AGP cars are similar, but my favorite because of its handling is the RB14 Disruption Edition. It definitely feels like it has a bit tighter of steering angle, but it's still super close, so here are my other picks. Now let's talk about Rally Raid. This one is pretty debatable, but the Tacoma is my choice for the best all-arounder. The solo pace you can keep with this is tremendous. Its only issue is hairpin turns, and to be honest, it's really not that bad at them. The BMW Z4 and the Porsche 959 have incredible handling, and I put them in the special use category for that reason. They tend to be the best choice for tight hairpin routes. Now, outside of those, there are several good options, so here are my favorites. All right, and lastly, let's talk about rally. This category is certainly debatable as well, so I'll do my best to be straight with you. My favorite and first choice always is the Peugeot 205. It handles great, it accelerates well, and it has good top speed. I do think this category will be a personal preference thing though, because the Delta S4 and the Citroen C3 are absolutely beasts as well. That being said, I do want to highlight the Mini Cooper Countryman All 4 because it has a very specific use. The courses that feel like rally raid courses where you're jumping a lot, you're bouncing off little hills, and having to take a lot of hairpins make the Countryman super competitive, and I strongly suggest you use it if you haven't tried it already. There's something about the suspension of that Countryman that just seems to eat all of those little bumps, and it's very good for bombing down hills. Now, outside of those, here is my list of viable cars for the category. And that's it for the video. I'd like to really hear your best pick for a sleeper car that I didn't talk about in today's video, so drop that into the comments section. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And again, remember, please use creator code MGC at checkout when you buy anything from Ubisoft. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Trigger out.